Welcome to the Dragon Table. Today I am going to teach you how to play Seven Wonders Duel. This is the two-player version of the very popular game Seven Wonders. I love both games, but I think I like this one a little bit more just because of the very unique drafting mechanism that it uses. So let's learn it. So let's go over setting up the game first. It's a two-player game, so we're going to say that one player is on this side of the board, or this side of the table, and the other player is on this side of the table. So the first thing you're going to do is set up the military board in between the two players. Then you're going to take the military pawn and put it on the middle space, which is the neutral space. Then take your military tokens, little rectangles like this, and place them on the board. One covers the 5 victory point spot and one covers the 10 victory point spot. Then you're going to randomize your progress tokens, like so, and place 5 of them out onto the military board. And the others go back to the box. Bring out your coins. And each person starts with 7 coins. So we'll do 3 and 1 for each player. Next, you're going to do Wonders selection. These cards are the various wonders of the world. You're going to shuffle this deck of Wonders cards. You're going to choose a first player and then lay out 4 Wonders cards at random. Each of these cards has a cost and resources on the left side and a benefit on the right side. Alternating turns, you're going to choose one. The first player will choose one, and then the second player will choose one. First player chooses another one, second player chooses one. Then you're going to repeat the same thing, putting out 4, but this time the second player gets to choose first, so it makes it a little bit more even. So the second player chooses a card, the first player chooses one, and so forth. And you put those all next to your play area. The game takes place over the course of 3 ages, and there are 3 decks corresponding to those ages, ages 1, 2, and 3. For each age, you're going to shuffle the deck and take out 3 cards at random, and those go back in the box. You're going to do that for each of these decks. Let's pretend that I've shuffled these. Take those out. For the 3rd age, there are additional cards called guild cards. They have a dark purple back. You're still going to take out 3 cards from the main deck, but then you're going to choose 3 guild cards at random and shuffle them into the age 3 deck. For each age, you're going to be laying out cards on the board, and they will serve as the basis for your drafting. So instead of having a hand of cards that you draft from and pass around, there are actually going to be cards laid out so you can see some of the cards that are available. Age 1 is a different layout than age 2 is a different layout than age 3. Age 1, the layout looks like this. So as you can see, some of the cards are face up and some of the cards are face down. Some of the cards are also covered by other cards. On your turn, you're going to choose an accessible card. An accessible card is one that is not covered by any of the other ones. So you'd pick up a card, and then you can do one of 3 things with it. If you can pay the cost, you can construct it and put it in your play area. Alternatively, you can discard it to get coins, or you can use it to construct a wonder. And I'll tell you how you do all of those things in just a moment. Then, if any of the covered cards have been revealed, you flip them over and then they're available for the next person. The age ends when all of the cards have been played, and then the player with the weakest military, which is determined by this track, chooses who gets to go first in the next age. If the military pawn is on the neutral space, then whoever went last gets to choose who gets to go first in the next round. So what kind of cards are there in the game? There are brown resource cards, and these are going to be, at the beginning of the game, the most important things for you to get, because they will provide you with resources on your turn. For instance, the quarry will provide you with 1 stone. The lumberyard will give you a wood. The clay pool will give you brick. There are also gray resource cards. For instance, this one gives you papyrus, and this one gives you glass. Now what you may notice is that these 2 cards have a coin emblem on them. That means they cost 1 coin in order to construct, whereas all of these are free. So you could just take them and put them in your play area at no cost. There are also buildings that cost resources. For instance, to build a stable, you need to have 1 wood. If these were the cards that belong to this player, they would be able to build a stable because they have 1 wood due to their lumberyard. This symbol on the corner of the card means that in the future, if this symbol comes up on another card, you can build that card for free. And that will be noted in the cost section of the card. So the stable has a horseshoe up here in the right-hand corner, and the horse breeders has a horseshoe under the cost. So you would not have to pay the brick or the wood, you just have to have the stable on your play area. When you play a military card, you get to move on the military track. You take the pawn and you move it towards your opponent a number of spaces equal to the number of military symbols you played. For in this instance, 1 military symbol means you would move it 1. Once you move it up to this point, your opponent will lose 2 coins, and this token goes away. If you get all the way down to here, your opponent loses 5 coins. There are also science cards. Science cards will provide you with one of these symbols. When you have a pair of those symbols, like so, then you get to choose one of the progress tokens from the military track, whichever one is going to suit you best. And I'll go over what some of those are in a minute. Some of the science cards will give you victory points at the end of the game. And in this case, the scriptorium has this book icon in the top right corner, and the library has the book icon in the cost section. So if you have the scriptorium, you could build the library for free. There are also commerce cards. Commerce cards are yellow, and they will give you some benefit. In this case, the tavern gives you 4 coins and an amphora icon that'll show up later in the game. The wood reserve costs 3 coins and lets you pay 1 coin for access to a wood on your turn. I will explain that in a moment as well. I do a lot of that. I'll explain it in a moment. What are some other good yellow cards? Oh, another good commerce card. This one's a good commerce card. It gives you access to either 1 glass or 1 papyrus. That's a good one. There are also blue cards called civilian cards. They will give you points at the end of the game. That's the only thing that they do. The baths cost 1 stone to build, and they also give you the water symbol, which lets you build a different structure later in the game for free. The civilian cards get very expensive towards the end of the game. For instance, this age 3 card gives you 7 points, but it costs a brick, a stone, a wood, and 2 glass. So how exactly do you construct a building? Well, if there's no cost associated with the building, for instance, the clay pool, then you just take it and put it in your play area for free. In this case, the stone pit, you'd have to pay 1 coin in order to build it. And this one, the stable, requires 1 wood. Now in this situation, this player doesn't have wood, so how would he build this? Well, he can buy wood from the bank for 2 coins. If the other player has wood, then he has to add 1 coin per number of wood cards that the other player has. For instance, if the other player has 2 cards with wood, like so, then the cost of 1 wood would go from 2 coins to 4 coins, making it rather expensive. So you have to watch out for what your opponents are getting in terms of resources, because it can make resources expensive for you. One thing that can help with that is some of the commerce cards. For instance, this commerce card, the wood reserve, lets you buy wood for 1 coin always, no matter how many your opponent has. Once you've constructed a building, you place it in your play area and you take any actions that are applicable. Most of them are not going to be immediate actions, but some of them are. For instance, this military icon would let you move the pawn 1 space towards your opponent. In the third age, you can get some cards that are a little bit more complicated in terms of an immediate gain. For instance, the Scientist Guild costs 2 brick, 2 wood, and it will give you 1 coin immediately and 1 point at the end of the game for whoever has the most green cards. Confusing? Not at all. What you would do is count the number of green cards you have and the number of green cards your opponent has. And whichever number is the highest is the number that you gain. For instance, if I play this card and I have 4 green cards, but my opponent has 5, I would get 5 coins immediately. Then at the end of the game, let's say I had 7 green cards and my opponent has 4, or my opponent has 5, I would get 7 points. So what was that other action you could take with a card? The third action you can take with a card is to construct a wonder. So you would take a card from the board and then you would pay the cost on the wonder card. For instance, here we have 1 glass and 3 brick. If I had those or was able to pay for them, I would take the card that I picked up from the board and slide it underneath to show that I had built it. Then I'm going to get the benefit on the side of the card. For instance, on this card, you get to move the military token 2 spaces immediately, and you get 3 points at the end of the game. And there are a wide variety of Wonders cards. The Sphinx shows this icon, which means you immediately get to take another turn. So if you time that right, it can be very beneficial to you. The Piraeus gives you either a papyrus or a glass each turn, and then you immediately get to take another turn when this is built. I rather like the Temple of Artemis. It gives you 12 coins and lets you take another turn. But as you can see, it's a whole bunch of different resources that change for each card. So all of these Wonders cards have different requirements to build. And only 7 wonders total may be built in the game. So even though you and your opponent each start with 4, you can only build 7 total. So whoever builds their 4th wonder first blocks the other player from being able to build all 4 of theirs. So how do you win the game? There are 3 possible ways. The first way you could win is a military victory. If the military pawn moves all the way to your opponent's side, then you win the game by military victory. You can also have a science victory. If you collect, that's upside down, 6 different science symbols during the game, then you win a science victory. There are only 7 available science symbols in the game, and one of them is a symbol on the progress token. So if that progress token isn't out, then there are only 6 available, which makes this a fairly hard thing to accomplish. Also, you're taking 3 cards out of every deck. It's possible that in the third age, for instance, where one of these symbols would come from, that they could be both taken out. So you might be going for a science victory and not actually be able to achieve it. The other way you can win is with a civilian victory. If all of the cards in the game have been played, then each person counts up their total points. Anything that has the laurel with the number in it is points. So you're going to get points from cards, say the civilian cards. You'll get points from guild cards. You'll get points from some of the commerce cards. You'll get points from some of the science cards. You will also get points based on where the pawn is on the military track. For instance, if the pawn was here, then the player on this side would get 5 points at the end of the game. The game does come with a little score pad to let you add up your points at the end of the game. There's a space for blue cards, these guys, green cards, the science, yellow cards, which are commerce, purple cards, which are the guild cards, your wonders, because some of the wonders have points on them. Progress tokens, only a couple of the progress tokens have points, for instance, that one. Coins, 1 point for every 3 coins you have. Military, which would be on the military track. And whoever has the most points is the winner, unless they've achieved a military or scientific victory first. If there's a tie at the end of that, then whoever has the most points in blue cards wins the game. I'm going to show you the layout of ages 2 and 3 real quick, just so you know what they look like. Okay, age 2. That's the layout for age 2. This is the layout for age 3. One tip I would give, particularly in age 3, is to not choose a card that's going to reveal a card underneath of it. Particularly if your opponent is going for something in particular. If they're only a couple of points away from a military or a science victory, you don't want to accidentally reveal the card that gives them the victory. Okay, so here's our sample game. We're going to say that this is player 1. Oh no, Aragorn. So for our sample game, we're going to say that this is player 1, and this is player 2. Oh, the Uruk-hai won't stand up. So the first thing we need to do is choose wonders. So the first player chooses first. He's going to choose the Great Lighthouse. This one, once built, will give 1 of a resource each turn. So either wood, stone, or brick on a turn. And then player 2 is going to choose Circus Maximus. That would make the other player have to discard a gray production card. They would get 1 on the military track and 3 victory points at the end of the game. Then we'll say player 2 chooses this one, or player 1 chooses that one, player 2 chooses this one. And then we repeat, this time with player 2 choosing first. The second player chooses this one, chooses that one, we'll put that down there, and then chooses that one, and then he chooses that one. So now we have our wonders selected for each of our players. And now we're going to lay out our age 1 cards. So player 1 is going to choose the Lumberyard because it's a free card. He doesn't have to pay anything, and he'll have 1 wood resource. And taking that doesn't reveal any other cards. So now player 2 is going to choose the Tavern because it will give him 4 coins. And now that reveals this card. Player 1 is going to choose the Theater. Again, it's a free card, so he can build it for free. That will give him 3 points at the end of the game. Player 2 is going to pay 1 coin to the bank to get the logging camp. That gives him 1 wood. And now these both get turned over. Player 1 wants some science, so he's going to pay 2 coins to get the scriptorium. That gives him the pen or the ink and quill science symbol. Player 2 is going to pay 3 coins to get the stone reserve, so that anytime he buys stone in the game, he only has to pay 1 coin for it. And the reason I'm choosing this one is because he has several wonders that require multiple stones. And that reveals this one. And player number 1 is going to take that, the papyrus production card that costs 1 coin. And because player 2 has a stone reserve, it only costs him 1 coin to buy a stone. So he's going to buy 1 stone and build the baths. 3 points at the end of the game, and a symbol that can let him build a card for free later, possibly. Player 1 takes the quarry for free, so now he has access to stone. Player 2 is going to build the altar for free. Player 1 is going to pay 3 coins to build the clay reserve. And player 2 is going to pay 1 coin to build a clay pit so that he can have access to more resources. And now player 1 is going to use the 1 wood that he has available to build a stable. That's going to let him move forward 1 on the military track. So there. Now there's only 1 card left, so player number 2 either has to take this card and construct it, turn it in for coins, or use it to build a wonder. It's not reasonable at this point for him to build any of the wonders because he would have to spend too much money to get the resources. He's not super in need of coin, so he's going to go ahead and spend 2 to buy a glass in order to build the apothecary. That will give him the wheel symbol and 1 point at the end of the game. Now player 1 is going to spend his 1 last remaining coin to get glass, a valuable resource. Player 2 has brick, so he can build the garrison. And that will let him move forward 1 on the military track, so it goes back to neutral. And then both of these cards get turned over. Now, player number 1 does not have any coins left, so he cannot build either this stone pit or the wood reserve. So that means he would either have to turn in the cards for coins or build a wonder. He doesn't have the resources to build any of his wonders, so he's going to have to pick one of these cards to turn in for coins. And he's going to choose to turn in the stone pit. When you turn in a card for coins, you get 2 coins plus 1 for every yellow card you have. So in his case, he's going to get 3 coins. And that gets placed off to the side. We give him 3 coins. Player 2 is going to go ahead and spend 3 coins to build the wood reserve. Player 1 is going to build the clay pool, so now he has access to every single resource. That's pretty good. And now player 2 doesn't have the coins that he needs in order to build this, so he's going to discard this. He'll get 2 coins for this, plus 1, 2, 3 for each of his yellow cards. 5 coins total. Now, in order to determine who goes first, in the second age, you look at the military track. It's neutral, that means the player who played last gets to choose who goes first. So player number 2 is going to get to choose who goes first in the second age after the cards have been laid out. Player 2 decides that he wants to go first, and he's going to take the glass blower so that he'll get glass as a resource. And player 1 really wants to get those 6 coins, so he's going to take the brewery and build that for free and get 6 coins. And then both of these get turned over. Now player 2 has the sword symbol from having the garrison, and the barracks has a sword symbol in the cost. So he's going to be able to build the barracks for free. You want to do that whenever you can. And he's going to move forward 1 on the military track. Player number 1 is going to build the rostrum, which he can do because he has stone and wood in his resources. And then this gets turned over. So now player number 2 is going to take this card and he's going to use it to construct a wonder. He wants to build Circus Maximus, which needs 1 glass, 1 wood, and 2 stone. Because he has this commerce card, he only has to pay 1 for each of those stone, so he'll pay 2 coins and then be able to build Circus Maximus. That means his opponent has to get rid of 1 gray production card, and player 2 gets to choose which one. So he's going to get rid of Papyrus because he doesn't have Papyrus. So if player 1 has Papyrus, it makes it more expensive for player 2 to purchase it, so he's going to get rid of that one. He also gets to move forward 1 on the military track, and he'll get 3 points at the end of the game. Player number 1 is going to build the library. Because there's a book icon on the scriptorium and a book icon on the library, he can build it for free. That also gives him a pair of symbols, so he can choose one of the progress tokens to take. He's going to choose architecture. Architecture is a great progress token. It means you can spend 2 less resources when building a wonder. Player number 2 is going to take this card and turn it in for coins. He gets 2 coins plus 1 for each of his yellow cards. That gives him 5 coins. Player number 1 is going to take this card and he's going to use it to build a wonder. It would normally take papyrus, glass, and 2 wood, but because he has architecture, he only needs 2 of those resources. So he's going to use wood and glass, which he has, and build the hanging gardens. That will give him 6 coins, and he immediately gets to take another turn. And with his second turn, he's going to spend 4 coins to build the customs house, which lets him purchase papyrus or glass for 1 coin each. Player number 2 wants to build the parade grounds, which costs 2 brick and a glass. He has a glass and a brick, but he needs to buy a brick, and the brick is going to cost 3 because his opponent has 1. So he spends 3 for the brick and then can build the parade grounds. So he moves on the military track, 1, 2, and that means that this token comes off. So his opponent is going to lose 2 coins, and then that gets taken out of the game. Player number 1 is going to take this card and use it to build the Great Lighthouse. He, again, because he has architecture, he can remove 2 of the resource requirements, so he's going to use stone and wood to build this. The Great Lighthouse will give him either a wood, stone, or brick each turn. Player number 2 is going to spend 2 coins to build the Shelf Quarry, which will give him access to 2 stone. Player number 1 is going to take this card, and he's going to use it to build the Great Library. Again, he only needs, this has 5 resource requirements. He only has to fill 3 of them. So he's going to do glass, wood, and he has another wood from the Great Lighthouse. So he builds this wonder. The Great Library Wonder lets him look at 3 random progress tokens that were put back in the box at the beginning of the game and choose 1 to keep. He could do masonry, which lets you do 2 less resources when building blue cards, theology, which lets you take an extra turn anytime you build a wonder, or economy, which means anytime your opponent buys a resource, you get the money from it. I think he's going to do that one. And then these get flipped over. Player 2 is going to take this card and turn it in for 5 coins. Player number 1 is going to build the dispensary. He has brick and stone, and 1 more brick he'll get from his Great Lighthouse. Player 2 is going to build the caravanserai. He spends 2 coins, he has a glass, and he has to buy a papyrus, which will cost him 2. And that will give him wood, brick, or stone each turn. Not to mention another yellow card. Player 1 is going to build the archery range. He has the stone and the wood. He has to buy a papyrus, which he can buy for 1 because of that commerce card. And then he gets to move 2 this way on the military track. Player 2 is going to spend 3 coins and a brick in order to build the forum. Player number 1 is going to build a laboratory. He needs a wood and 2 glass. He has a wood and 1 glass, but he can buy the second glass for 1. So he's going to do that. Build a laboratory. And then player 2 is going to build a temple, which he can do for free, because he has a moon icon here and there's a moon icon there. So now we move on to age 3. The weakest player on the military track, which in this case is player 1, gets to decide who goes first. So we're going to lay out the age 3 cards, and then he gets to choose who goes first. Player 1 decides that he wants to go first, and he's going to build the arena. He has the resources to do it, but he also has that barrel icon from this card here. He gets 2 coins for each wonder he has built. 1, 2, 3. So he gets 6 coins and 3 points at the end of the game. Player 2 is going to build the obelisk. It takes 2 stone and a glass, which he has. Player number 1 is going to build the Builder's Guild. He needs stone, stone, brick, wood, glass. So he can build that one. And that is going to give him 2 points per wonder, whoever has the most wonders built. So at this point in the game, if he has 3 wonders built, that would be worth 6 points at the end of the game. Now there's only one choice left for player 2. Player number 2 is going to take this card, and he's going to use it to build the mausoleum. He is going to spend 2 coins to buy a papyrus. He's going to use 1 glass from here, 1 glass from here, a brick from here, and a brick from here in order to build it. The mausoleum lets him look at all the cards that have so far been discarded in the game and choose one to build for free. He is going to choose Papyrus. Player number 1 is going to take this card. He's going to use it to build his last wonder. He needs to buy 2 Papyrus, which will cost him 2 total because of this card. And he has the other items that he needs, especially since, oh, actually, he doesn't even need to buy the Papyrus because he doesn't have to use those because of the Architecture Progress token. So he builds the statue of Zeus. That means he forces player 2 to remove a brown resource card, and he's going to make him remove the stone. That's just mean. Then he moves forward 1 on the military track, and he gets 3 points at the end of the game. Player 2 is going to build the port. He needs wood, glass, and papyrus, which he has. And then he gets 2 coins per brown resource card that he has, which is 2, so he gets 4 coins. Player number 1 is going to build the gardens. He needs 2 bricks, 2 brick and 2 wood. He can get wood, wood, brick, and he can buy a brick for 1 because of that card and build the gardens. And player number 2, even though this one has a lot of resources to build, he actually has them all. Brick, stone, wood, glass, glass. So he can build the palace. That's a lot of points. Player number 1 is going to build the arsenal. That would cost 3 brick and 2 wood. He has wood, wood, brick. He needs to buy brick, but brick only costs 1 each. So he will spend 2 in order to build the arsenal, and that will move him 3 on the military track. 1, 2, 3. Player 2 is going to build the circus because the helmet icon from here, same as the helmet icon in the cost, so he can build that one for free. And move 2 on the military track. So now it's back to neutral. Now player 1 only has 1 choice. He can take this card. So he's going to go ahead and build that one, the armory. That will give him 1 coin per military card he has, which is 3, and 3 points at the end of the game. Player 2 has a good card that he can use. He is going to build the lighthouse, which he can do for free because of the amphora symbol. He gets 1 coin per commerce card. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 coins, 3 points at the end of the game. That was a pretty good deal. And once again, player 1 only has 1 choice. So he's going to build the fortifications, which will take stone, stone, brick, and he has to buy a papyrus for 1. And that lets him move 2 on the military track. And then this card gets flipped over. So player 2 has 1 choice. The only card out available is the Moneylenders Guild. That gives you 1 point per every 3 coins, and it's whoever has the most coins. It's going to cost him some money, but I think he's going to do it. He needs 2 stone and 2 wood. He has 1 wood here. He can buy a wood for 1 coin, and then he has a stone here, and he can buy a stone for another coin. Those 2 go to player 1 because of the economy progress token. And then he's going to build that over here because that's where there's room. Player number 1 is going to build the Senate. He can build it for free because of this icon that he has right here. Player 2 is going to build the Chamber of Commerce. He needs 2 papyrus, which he has here, a papyrus and a papyrus. And that gives him 3 coins per gray resource card, so he gets 6 coins. Player number 1 is going to build the Pantheon. He has brick and he has wood. He's going to have to buy 2 papyrus for 1 each, so he spends 2 coins, and then he can build the Pantheon. Player 2 is now left with only 1 option, the Town Hall. Player 2 is going to use the Town Hall to build the pyramids. He's going to spend 2 coins, which will go to player 1, to buy 2 stone for 1 each and build the pyramids, which gives him 9 points at the end of the game, which is more than the 7 points would have been on the other card. Player 1 is now going to build the observatory for free because he has the same icon. Looks like a little bottle. And then player number 2 is going to build the siege workshop. He needs 3 wood and a glass. He has the glass. He has a wood here and a wood here. He has to buy 1 wood for 1 coin, which goes to this player. to build the siege workshop, and he gets to move 2 on the military track, which puts it back at neutral. And that's the end of the game. So now we score points. So let's see. Player 1, player 2. First, we're going to count up blue cards. 7, 13, 18, 24. 24 points in blue cards for player 1. And then we have 6, 10, 15, 22 points in blue cards for player 2. In green, there's 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 for player 1, and 1 for player 2. Now, any points on yellow cards, there's 3, 3, so that's 6 on yellow cards. Over here we have 9, 3, 3, 3. And then we're going to score points for the guild cards. The Builders Guild is 2 points at the end of the game for number of wonders built, whoever has the most, which is this player, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 8 points for that guild. This player has the Moneylenders Guild. So now we have to count money. Let's see, 6, 9, 12, 15, and he has 12. So this is more money. So 15 divided by 3 is 5, so he'll get 5 points. And then points for wonders. 4, 7, 10, 14 for player 1, and player 2 gets 14. Now you look to see if there are any points from progress tokens, and there are not. And then 1 point for every 3 coins, so this player gets 5. He has 12 coins, so he gets 4. And then point from the military track, it's neutral, so no one gets any points on the military track. And now we just add it up. So player 1 has 74 points and player 2 has 65 points. Player 1 wins the game. So that's it for the playthrough. I hope that was helpful. Thanks for visiting the Dragon Table. I'll see you next time.